healing, and that's what you got to keep in mind. Now, some people will tell you, since we're on the fact of water, that you need alkaline water, that you need this kind of water. Now, somebody out there, any one of you, tell me anywhere within inspiration or in the Bible where God said it is good that man, he needs his water alkaline before he drinks it. Come on, folks, I want you to think, because there are all kind of things floating around out there. And when you look at God's, and this is what I want you to keep in mind before you answer me, think of God's plan of health. It should be available to the rich, to the poor, to people in the jungles of Papua New Guinea, to people in these third world countries. Come on, I want you to think about it. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. But see, it doesn't say that it has to be rainwater. Remember when they were partaking of water, and when Gideon's soldiers went to drink, where did they go drink their water? Did they catch rainwater? Did they drink it from just the streams or the river? But see, I'm not trying to be hard or smart, but I want us to think, that's what I'm saying. If you want to drink rainwater, but you stand the risk of acid rainwater. That's why when the water hits the ground, God has already created a natural filtration system. That's why even in Pathfinders, survivalists, they will tell you, if you're going to drink water and you're walking by a stream, find the water where it's running and rushing through the rocks, and then you catch it at the end where it comes out of that, because that's a natural form of filtration. And guess what? They've actually mimicked that in some of the filtration systems that they put in the homes, because they'll put a hard form of charcoal and something similar to rock that the water goes through before it comes out much more purified. And see, I know sometimes God's method does not appeal to our logic, but he's told us what? His ways are not our ways, nor his thoughts are our thoughts. And that's what I'm saying. Let me add this piece. There's a time of trouble that's going to come up on us when no man can buy or sell. And if we have to buy all these systems to take care of ourselves, and it's no longer time where we can buy or sell, what are we going to do? But if we've been utilizing God's natural way of healing all along, we're not dependent upon these things. See, we as a people got to get back to what we have been taught and start falling back on those things and become dependent upon them. Embedded in this message that God has given us is the message of righteousness by faith. Righteousness by faith is merely this: Lord, I don't fully understand all of this that you're telling me, but by faith, I'm going to step forward and do it. Read the chapter Hebrews 11, where it has what we call the hall of faith. And look at what it says with each one of those people in there. And I'm going to get off this and move on. By faith, they did this. By faith, they did that. By faith, they did. Because it's going to come a point in time when we're going to have things before us that we're not going to know what to do with. But because by faith we depended on God all along, he's going to take something simple and do a healing that's going to mesmerize the world, if I can use that word. God isn't into mesmerism, but you all understand what I'm saying. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. It just said drink water. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. No, and I understand that, but at the same time, what do I tell the poor person that cannot afford to go out and buy that? All this other kind of different water. If a person is having a problem with their tap water, take it and boil it. Because they do that even in the third world countries, even when some of our missionaries from UG Pines, Wildwood, Eden Valley, and some of the other institutions, they go over, they boil that water. And there have been some instances even here in the States where people have boiled their tap water. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, and I'm in total agreement with that. Then that's why I'm saying boil your water. But then the simplicity of God's message as well is what I want us to keep in mind. If a person is not comfortable with it and you can afford to go out and buy the water, I'm not saying don't buy the water if you can afford to do that. But I want you to keep in mind, like I said, when that point comes where no man can buy or sell and you're used to buying your water, what are you going to do then? If we have not depended on God way back here, when it really hits us, do we all of a sudden grab hold of faith? And that's the question each one of us will have to ask ourselves. I saw a hand here, and then I'll take yours, Sister Evan. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Well, let me cut you off right there, and for the sake of time as well. This is what basically the research is saying, and so I'm passing on to you what's been tested and proven when I stand and make a statement. However, I do understand what you're saying because that does happen. But at the same time, unfortunately, we have to wait sometimes for whatever bad results to come back, only for it to prove and say, you know what, we were wrong, we shouldn't have done it. But they've been doing it for at least the last 20 or 30 years. And eventually, with most research, sometimes some things come out that are not as good. But for right now, you know, we don't have the reports that are showing so much in part that even though it's bad, when we, and that's, thank you, Lord, when these things hit us, if we're following the other laws, they are not going to have as much of the effect. And so that's what we got to keep in mind. I'm talking to you about water right now, but remember, there are 7 other laws. Yes, Sister Evans. Right. Well, you said it well. I mean, I can't say any more on that than what you said. There are a lot of things out there. Am I saying that alkaline water is bad? I'm not saying any of those things are bad, but what we're talking to you about, and that's what I want you all to get in mind, God's program of working with people. Simple to everyone, the poorest person who can only afford maybe a piece of bread. But that's the thing. But see, we're not used to hearing about God's program. We're so used to hearing about all these other things. So when we start presenting the simplicity of it to you, it kind of throws you off track for a moment. And I'm going to say it, that's merely a plan of the enemy. Are some of these other things bad? No, they're not bad. But the simplicity, once again, of God's methods. That's what I want us to keep in mind. One other thing about water as well, it also helps, and many of us probably notice, in terms of our system, constipation. Another testimony, one co-worker of mine as well, when I used to work for the state of Georgia, was coming to me talking about how she was constantly stopped up. But I would ask her, you know, how much water are you drinking each day? You know, and the funny thing, she was eating a lot of meat and so on and so forth. You know, the refined foods, all those typical things that would stop a person up. But I told her, I said, to tell you what, she said, I don't mind drinking water, but I just forget throughout the course of a day. I told her to get her 2, I think it's 32-ounce bottles, fill those and set them on her desk where they're constantly staring at her throughout the day. She did that. She started drinking the water, and she came to me about 2, maybe 3 days later. It was kind of funny. She said, Mr. Parks, you're not going to believe what happened. And I started looking around. When you work for the state of Georgia, any of you who've ever worked for the state, and they start rushing in and telling you this, you think something bad is happening. It's like, let's hurry up and get out of the building. But she's coming to me telling me that, and she closed my door. She said, you won't believe it. I went to the bathroom and all this kind of other stuff. And she said, just from drinking water? I said, yeah. See, God honored her even though she was still doing the meat and so on and so forth, because she was willing to take a simple step and start doing that. And guess what she asked me? She said, so what else do you think I need to do? That's what I'm talking about right there, giving her a simple method and depending on the Lord to honor his promise to utilize that and do something with that. So water drinking is very important in terms of just your GI tract, but also some studies are showing that those who are not drinking enough water, cancers of the colon are increasing. In addition to that, cancers of the urinary tract, you know, the bladder, the uterus, and so on and so forth. I know that for a fact myself because I have a brother who has, well, let's put it this way, he had bladder cancer. He had, it was removed or whichever, but I showed him some of the same things that you've heard us talking about here. And thus far, I think, praise the Lord, we could say that after the last 6-7 months, he's had his test and they haven't been able to find anything. So, you know, just thank God for a lot of what we would call little things that he has done. Now, most of you may know this, but I'm going to share this particular piece with you here. It says approximately 10 glasses of water are eliminated daily through a combination of these. First, your kidneys. And that's basically you will excrete 5 up to 5.5 glasses of water each day through your kidneys. Next, through the lungs, you will lose at least 2 glasses. And that was kind of interesting to me, 2 glasses of water through just breathing. And you can't even see this, and that's still kind of mind-blowing to me. But the science shows that you will lose at least 2 glasses through breathing alone. That's daily. Next, through the skin, through perspiration. That one I can see because on a hot and humid day, you can just go outside and stand still and seem like 1 glass of water. And it's kind of humid outside even right now. And finally, through your stool in the GI tract, you will lose at least 1/2 glass of water. So that equals up to 10 glasses of water a day through just normal everyday living. Not even working hard or doing anything, you're losing water just like that. That's why it's real important that your water intake keeps up with what your body's taking out or putting out. Okay, through the kidneys, you will lose 5.5 glasses of water, or through your urine. Through the lungs, you will lose up to 2 glasses of water, and that's by merely breathing. Through the skin, you will lose another 2 glasses of water through perspiration. And finally, through the GI tract, you will lose another 1/2 glass of water in the GI tract, basically just through your stool. Now, the ways that we can receive our daily supply of water. Let me ask someone out there, other than drinking your water, what's another way that you can get, that you will get water through daily? I'm hearing the fruits, vegetables. And she said bathing. You do actually absorb some water just that way alone. Remember, I think it was Brother Luke maybe presenting where he was saying that, oh, let me come back to it. Oh, drinking the alkaline water, and he said that people are taking their showers and they're reabsorbing some of the same, what do you call it? The chlorinated water, or fluoridated water, or whatever type of water it is, merely from that process alone. But yeah, through your fruit, your vegetables, and even you get some liquid or fluid from meat as well. Yeah, because there is some liquid in it. Not a great deal, but you do. And not that we're advocating that, of course, as well. Now, some conditions that will cause you to lose water. Somebody give me one that you can think of off the top of your head that will cause you to lose water. Conditions. Yeah, you're right. Repeat it.
Diabetes.
That's one of the symptoms of diabetes, is excessive urination. That's a good one. Let me give them to you. A high fever. A high fever, remember, anytime your temperature is elevated, it causes the body to use more water to try and keep the temperature down. That's why most of the time when people have a fever, they tell you to give them not excessive fluids, but a lot of fluids, because the body is losing a lot of liquid when a person has a fever. So that's one instance there. Diarrhea, you lose a great deal of fluid, as my sister mentioned, when you have diarrhea. So that's another way the body's going to lose a great deal of water right there. Now, physical hard work, well, that's almost a given. That can be even inside the home when you're working hard. If you're not drinking a lot of water and you feel yourself coming down with a headache, at that particular point, I must say,